She thought he was still behind bars, locked away for good, paying the price for betrayal, for selling out her brother, for tearing apart the only family that ever protected her. But fate doesn't always leave the past where it belongs. It happened on a Friday afternoon in Dallas. July heat pressed down on the pavement like punishment. She was there for a retreat, a weekend to breathe, to forget. And then she saw him. There he was, standing outside a soul food restaurant like nothing had ever happened, wearing cream linen, gold watch flashing under the sun, laughing, holding hands with a woman Maya had never seen. 2 kids ran to him, calling him Daddy. That moment stopped time. The man she once promised forever to was smiling like he hadn't buried her whole life to save himself. What do you do when a ghost from your past comes back, alive and well, and completely untouched by the wreckage he left behind? This is not just a story about betrayal. It's about what happens when pain goes unanswered, when loyalty is weaponized, and when silence becomes the loudest scream of all. She thought he was in prison for life, then saw him smiling with his new family in Texas. If you're new here, welcome to True Crime Stories HD. We dive deeper than the headlines. Like, comment your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe. Now, let's begin. Born in the fall of 1981, Maya Brooks grew up in Houston's South Side, where the rules weren't written but everyone knew them. Loyalty was currency, reputation was armor, and survival, that was a full-time job. Her mother, Charlene, worked overnight shifts at a run-down nursing home on Reed Road. Maya would often wake to the sound of her mother's keys hitting the counter, her scrubs soaked in sweat, her face too tired to smile but too proud to complain. Her father, he disappeared when Maya was 4. Walked out one day and never came back. The family stopped saying his name like it was a curse they were trying to forget. Maya learned young that the world didn't owe you kindness. That silence kept you safe. That people left, and when they did, you had to keep eating, keep breathing, keep showing up. She wasn't loud. She didn't chase attention. But she saw everything. The roaches crawling in cracked linoleum corners. The gas bill that always arrived before payday. The way her mom's back bent more every week. She carried it all quietly, the way black girls are taught to, without breaking. But there was one person who gave her relief. Derek Brooks. Her older brother by 4 years. Her first protector. Her first true example of what loyalty looked like. He'd walk her to school in the mornings, waiting at the gate until the last bell rang. When kids teased her about her worn-out sneakers, Derek showed up the next day and walked one of them home by the collar of his shirt. Nobody said another word. By 14, Derek was doing more than any kid should. He hustled where he had to. Small jobs. Sneaker drops. Sometimes things with names Maya didn't ask about. But she always knew when the rent was short. Somehow he made up the difference. She never asked how. She didn't want to know. What mattered was that he showed up. While Charlene prayed for better days and rested her tired feet, Derek made sure Maya had food, bus fare, and clean clothes. He taught her how to fix a jammed lock. How to read people's faces. How to stand tall even when your knees want to fold. By the early 2000s, Derek was known on the block. Not reckless, but respected. A name that made people nod in silence. He had 1 foot in the streets and 1 foot still at home. To Maya, he was just her brother. The only man who'd never lied to her. But life has a way of testing the strongest bonds. And Maya's test would come in the summer of 2001. It was the 4th of July. The heat wrapped around them like wet blankets, and the air smelled like charcoal and gunpowder. Fireworks cracked above the trees. Maya was sitting under the old oak in her Aunt Lorna's backyard, sipping orange soda and laughing with her cousins. That's when she saw him. The man who would flip her whole world sideways. His name was Xavian Carter. He was Derek's friend from the shop. Tall, deep brown skin, quiet confidence. He had oil on his hands, but gold in his smile. The kind of man who didn't need to talk loud because everything about him already said, "Pay attention." He walked up, nodded once, and said, "You the quiet one, huh?" She smirked. "You the smooth one, huh?" That's how it started. With one line. One look. What Maya didn't know then was that every love story comes with fine print. And hers would cost her everything. It didn't take long for Maya and Xavian to fall into each other. What started as stolen glances turned into long phone calls that stretched past midnight. Sunday walks around McGregor Park. Quiet dinners at hole-in-the-wall diners. In Xavian, Maya saw a future she could trust. Someone who didn't just say the right things, but looked at her like she was worth building for. They got married in October 2003. No fancy venue. No bridesmaids. No cake tall enough to cut. Just a borrowed sundress, a courthouse clerk who mispronounced her name twice, and a whispered vow from Xavian, "We gon' make this work, no matter what." Their first home was a third-floor walk-up in South Park. No central air. A couch from a church donation bin. A mattress on the floor. But it was theirs. And sometimes, when Maya lit candles during blackout nights, she made it feel like a palace. They laughed through it. Cried through it. Made love in silence while the neighbors fought next door. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. Xavian worked long hours at the shop. Maya picked up part-time daycare shifts and braided hair in their kitchen to make ends meet. Their car, a rusty Toyota Camry with a busted starter, was both blessing and burden. One week it got them to work. The next, it needed a jump just to leave the parking lot. Groceries were strategic. Rice, beans, ramen noodles. Every dollar was stretched like skin over bone. Friday nights were for Frenchie's two-piece combos and gospel on the radio. But slowly, life started asking for more than love. Bills stacked faster than paychecks. The twins were growing, Zion and Mercy, and Xavian hated saying no when they asked for little things. Ice cream, pencils, a new pair of sneakers. He didn't show it in words. But Maya could see it in his eyes, the look of a man drowning in shame. One night, Maya came home from work, her feet swollen, her spirit tired, and found Xavian sitting in the dark, eviction notice on the table. He didn't speak. She didn't ask. And later that week, he made the call. Derek answered on the first ring. "Xavian, low, tired, I need more. I'm tired, D. Tired of watching her struggle. Tired of showing up empty." Derek, quietly, "You know what I do ain't no 9 to 5, right?" Xavian, "I'm not asking for a handout. Just a way in." Derek, "You sure? Once you in, there ain't no clocking out." Xavian, "I already stepped in the day I married your sister. That was the beginning. It started small. A few runs. Drop-offs. No questions asked. The money came in quickly. Too quickly." Maya asked once, "Where's this coming from?" Xavian just kissed her forehead and whispered, "It's handled." But she felt the shift. The first lie wasn't loud. It was quiet, like most things that change your life. At first, it felt like a solution. Xavian followed every rule Derek gave him. Pick up. Drive. Drop. Don't open anything. Don't ask questions. Don't linger. And never let the product stay in your car longer than 10 minutes. Simple. And it worked. The first run paid more than 2 weeks at the shop. The second bought them groceries for a month. The third let him replace the sagging mattress they'd been sleeping on for years. He told Maya he was doing side work, mobile repairs for people with no shops. She wanted to believe him. Needed to. Because the lights were on. The fridge stayed full. Their kids were laughing more. They even had internet now. But behind the closed doors of their apartment, the tension grew quietly. Xavian's phone buzzed more often. Numbers she never saw. Names he never mentioned. He stayed out later. Came home smelling like unfamiliar cologne, tire rubber, fast food from towns she didn't recognize. Maya asked once, "Why Baton Rouge?" He looked up from his plate. "Business." That was all he said. By 2008, he was doing interstate work. Houston to Atlanta. Houston to Little Rock. Derek trusted him with larger loads, heavier bags, stricter timelines. Xavian had gone from the bottom of the ladder to the inner circle, and he liked the power. He liked being relied on. But power doesn't come free. The more he earned, the more Derek expected. Bigger risks. Tighter windows. And no mistakes. And then came the bad run. It was a late-night drop in Beaumont. Something was off. A car parked across the street with fogged windows. A man pretending to be on his phone for too long. Xavian dropped the bag, but he didn't feel right. He left fast. Didn't speak. Didn't eat that night. The next morning, Maya found him staring out the window, phone in hand. "I'm done after this next one," he muttered. She didn't ask what he meant. Because by then, the truth was a ghost that lived between them, always there, never touched. The deal that cost everything came on a Thursday. March 12, 2009. Maya was warming up a bottle for Mercy. Zion was still asleep. Xavian had just come out of the bathroom. Then came the sound. Boom. The door split off the hinges. Agents poured in. Tactical boots, rifles, laser sights dancing on their faded apartment walls. Maya screamed before she even understood what was happening. Xavian didn't run. He just raised his hands and locked eyes with her. They pulled him out shirtless, barefoot. The hallway reeked of fear and broken promises. That night, Maya stood in the middle of their destroyed living room, drawers flipped, baby toys scattered, her husband's shoes still by the door. She didn't cry. She just picked up a spilled box of wipes and started putting them back one by one. In court, the charges read like a nightmare. Trafficking, conspiracy, racketeering, interstate smuggling. Xavian sat with dead eyes. No tears. No protest. Just silence. And then came the betrayal. His lawyer reached out. "He wants to meet," they said. She drove alone to Beaumont Federal. Sat behind the glass. Waited. When he walked in, she barely recognized him. He picked up the phone. "I took the deal," he said. 15 years in exchange for names. He gave them Derek. Maya's hand dropped from the phone. Her throat tightened. "You what?" they asked. "I told them," he said flatly. "He's the one who put me on. You think I was born knowing this? You think I wanted this? It wasn't a confession. It was a defense." But Maya didn't need explanations. She needed truth. And this wasn't it. She stood up. Didn't yell. Didn't curse. She just walked out. And never came back. What Xavian didn't realize that day was he hadn't just lost his freedom. He'd lost the one person who would have visited. Who would have prayed for him. Who would have forgiven, eventually. And now, with Derek facing federal time, the family Maya grew up with, the only one that ever gave her love, was gone. And all that remained was silence. For Maya, grief didn't come like a storm. It came like fog. It settled quietly, clinging to everything, her job, her body, her voice. There was no funeral. No casket. But she mourned Xavian like he'd died in that hallway, hands cuffed, eyes down, surrounded by men in vests shouting orders. Because the man she loved wasn't coming back. And neither was her brother. Derek's arrest came 2 months later. At a family fish fry in Acres Homes. It was supposed to be a peaceful afternoon. kids running through sprinklers, music playing from a cracked Bluetooth speaker, catfish frying in the backyard. 4 unmarked cars rolled up. No sirens. No shouting. Just purpose. Derek saw them first. Set down his plate, wiped his hands on a napkin, and surrendered without a word. They took him in front of everyone. Maya didn't attend the arraignment. She couldn't. She sat on her porch that night and stared at the sky until the sun came up, whispering to herself over and over, "I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for any of this." The family turned cold. Some blamed her. Others just stopped calling. The same cousins who clapped at her wedding now walked past her at church without a glance. At every grocery store, every funeral, every Sunday service, whispers followed. She moved out of their apartment by summer. Found a duplex across town, small but clean. No photos of Xavian. No memories on the walls. Just a place to start over. She blocked the prison's number. Stopped opening mail from Beaumont. Didn't return letters. Not because she wanted revenge. Because she had nothing left to say. Maya threw herself into work. Pediatrics during the day. Home health care in the evenings. Stroke patients. Dementia wards. People who didn't know what day it was but held her hand like it was the last real thing they had. That became her sanctuary. Helping others gave her permission to avoid herself. And the years passed. 1, 2, 5, 9. She never remarried. Never even came close. She tried, once. A man named Deshawn who worked at the clinic. Nice. Funny. Good with kids. But when he asked if she believed in second chances, she smiled and said, "I believe in surviving." He never called back. Zion and Mercy grew. She raised them with grace and grit, never letting them feel the weight of what was missing. Birthdays came with cupcakes. Christmas came with handmade gifts. But the absence always sat at the edge of the room like an unwanted guest. Sometimes Maya would stare at the kitchen window in silence, plate in hand, remembering the night she saw Xavian for the last time. Sometimes she'd wake up gripping the bedsheet, having dreamed of Derek staring through glass with unreadable eyes. And every time she passed the courthouse downtown, her hands trembled. Grief didn't soften. It just stopped asking for attention. And peace. Peace never came. Because Maya's life wasn't built on closure. It was built on endurance. It had been 9 years since Maya had taken a vacation. So when her clinic offered a weekend staff retreat in Dallas, she said yes without hesitation. She didn't go to relax. She went to disappear. To spend 3 days in a hotel bed she didn't have to make, in a room where the silence didn't know her name. They stayed on the northwest side, business class comfort, clean towels folded like fans, a fridge stocked with soda, and colleagues who spoke in soft voices about nothing serious. It was a break from her reality. For the first time in years, Maya allowed herself to feel still. On Friday, one of her co-workers suggested a famous soul food spot 5 minutes from the hotel. The kind of place with a wait list, a line that wrapped around the parking lot, and cornbread that people wrote reviews about online. It was hot. 98 degrees and breathless. They parked across the lot and started walking toward the entrance. That's when she saw him. At first, her brain rejected it. A ghost. A mirage. A glitch in reality. But it wasn't. It was Xavian. Clean fade. Gold watch. Cream-colored shirt pressed sharp at the collar. He looked free. Relaxed. Whole. And he wasn't alone. Beside him stood a woman, maybe mid-30s, soft curls falling around her shoulders, laughing at something he said. 2 kids ran past them, chasing each other. The older one shouted, "Daddy, look!" Maya stopped in her tracks. She didn't blink, didn't breathe. Her co-workers kept walking, oblivious. Xavian didn't see her. Or maybe he did and chose not to react. Maya's hands trembled. Not out of longing, not even out of rage, but out of disbelief. Oh. He was supposed to be behind bars. She had built her peace around his absence, around the idea that he was locked away, paying for what he'd done. Seeing him laughing, unscarred, unbothered, felt like betrayal all over again. She turned away slowly, walked back to the car, sat down in the passenger seat. Her coworker asked if she was okay. She nodded. But she wasn't. Back at the hotel, she didn't speak, didn't eat, didn't laugh, didn't go out with the group that night. She just sat on the edge of the bed, still wearing the same clothes, replaying the image over and over. His face, that laugh, that woman, that life. All of it screamed one thing. He got out. And no one told her. The next day, she got in her rental and drove 3 hours west to a federal prison in Beaumont to see someone else who deserved to know. Derek. Beaumont Federal Prison hadn't changed. Same beige walls, same clanking gates, same long silence between buzzers. Maya hadn't stepped inside in over a decade. But now she was here. Not for closure. Not for forgiveness. But because Derek deserved to know. They led her to the visitation room. Plexiglass divider. Old plastic chairs. A phone that still smelled like sweat and breath. Derek walked in with a slow limp, years etched into his face. He looked older, leaner. But his eyes still held the same fire from when he'd walk her home from school. He picked up the phone. Didn't smile. Didn't ask why she came. Just waited. Maya lifted her receiver. Spoke only 3 words. "He's out." Derek blinked. Leaned forward. "Say that again." "I saw him yesterday. In Dallas. Standing outside a restaurant. With a new woman. 2 kids. Laughing. Like nothing ever happened." The silence stretched. Thick. Heavy. Derek didn't curse. Didn't yell. He just leaned back and stared through the glass. "He's walking free," he muttered. "And you're still here," Maya said. The words weren't meant to hurt. But they did. Because they were true. Derek looked away. "He gave me 30 years. Told them I was the one who brought him in. I never touched that paperwork. Never asked him to run." Maya nodded. They both knew the truth didn't matter anymore. The paper trail did. "You think he flipped again?" Derek asked. Maya shrugged. "Either he got lucky or somebody helped him disappear. But he's out." And smiling. Derek's jaw clenched. "He stole my future. Now he's building a new one." Maya didn't offer comfort. Didn't say sorry. She just sat there. Because sometimes truth doesn't need explanation. It just needs air. The guard tapped the glass. Time was up. Maya stood. Gave her brother a long look. He didn't meet her eyes. She walked out feeling heavier than when she arrived. What she couldn't have known was that her words had set something in motion. Not a conversation. A countdown. And it had already begun. After Taylor's murder, Xavian vanished. No credit card activity. No phone pings. No digital footprint. Just gone. Detectives issued a bulletin. Questioned neighbors. Canvassed old friends. But no one had seen him. Not since the morning before Taylor's body was discovered. He'd told co-workers he was going to handle something. He never said what. 3 days later, a city employee cleaning a canal near Highway 6 found something odd. A pair of bright red sneakers. One on the embankment. The other caught in a tangle of weeds. Nearby, a jacket. A shattered phone. A wallet with Xavian's ID inside. No body. Just pieces. Detectives launched a search. Dogs. Drones. Divers. The canal ran wide, but shallow. They found no blood. No signs of struggle. No indication of a fall. But the placement of the shoes. It looked deliberate. As if someone wanted the world to think Xavian was gone. Or to warn whoever was still looking. Maya heard about it the next morning. The headline, "Fugitive possibly dead after items found near canal." She didn't believe it. Not because she had faith in him, but because Xavian wasn't the type to disappear without control. If he left those sneakers, it wasn't a cry for help. It was a message. To someone. To everyone. Maya stared at the photo printed beside the article, a blurry image of the red shoes beside brown water. She remembered those shoes. He bought them during a tax refund splurge. Said they made him feel like he was flying. They were too loud. Too bright. They didn't fit his quiet nature. But that day, he wore them with pride. Now they were a marker on a muddy shore. And Maya couldn't tell if they symbolized an ending. Or a beginning. In Beaumont, Derek received no news. No warning. Just silence. And silence, to a man like Derek, meant only one thing. It's begun. In late October, the first name surfaced. A man named Tyrese Booker. He was an old associate of Xavian's. Used to run the border routes back in '09. No. He managed a car wash outside Austin. Clean life. 2 kids. Sunday church. Until someone found him in the back of his office. 2 bullets. 1 to the chest. 1 to the neck. No forced entry. No witnesses. No suspects. Police called it an execution. The second name came 3 days later. Derek Glass. Former courier. Arrested in 2012, released in 2019. Clean record since. Ran a tire shop. Lived quietly with his mother. He didn't die. But he came close. Someone waited for him in the garage. Shot him twice. Once in the leg, once in the back. He survived. Claimed he never saw the shooter's face. Couldn't remember anything except a low voice whispering before the shots. You knew better. The third name wasn't in Texas. It was in Baton Rouge. A man named Keno Delancey. No charges on file. But everyone in the circle knew, if Xavian had enemies, Keno was one of them. Back then, they fought over territory. Now, they were ghosts to each other. Keno was found in his car. Doors locked. Keys in ignition. 1 bullet, clean through the temple. The car was still idling when a school janitor found it. The stories didn't make front-page news. 2 scattered. 2 isolated. But for the people who knew the names, the ones who lived in that past, they saw the pattern. And they got the message. Someone was tying off loose ends. Someone wanted the past to stay buried. Maya read the headlines in silence. Didn't flinch. Didn't cry. She just added names to a mental list. And at the top of that list, still sat one name. Xavian Carter. Dead or not, his choices were still sending ripples through the world. And Maya was stuck in the middle of the wave. It happened just past midnight. Maya was in bed, scrolling through old texts on her phone, trying to lull herself to sleep. Rain tapped at the windows. The kids were asleep. The house was quiet. Then her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost let it go to voicemail. But something told her to answer. She picked up. Silence. Then a voice. I didn't want it to go this far. It was him. Xavian. Alive. Her breath caught. Where are you? She whispered. Not where you think. Not where they're looking. You faked it. The canal. The shoes. I had to. I didn't have a choice. Taylor's dead. Silence. I know, he finally said. I didn't mean for her to get hurt. Maya sat up. Then who was the target? Me. You think someone's cleaning up your mess? No, Xavian said. They're cleaning up theirs. I just lit the match. They're burning the house. You lit the match when you sold out my brother. More silence. You think I don't know that? Maya swallowed hard. Why are you calling me? Because I need you to do something. She almost laughed. You want favors now? Not for me. For them. For the kids. Mine and yours. This thing's not done. Not until someone ends it. Maya's eyes narrowed. You still lying, Xavian? No. Not this time. Then tell me the truth. All of it. And for the next 15 minutes, he did. Names. Dates. Deals that never made it into case files. People who had more to lose than any of them. The whole truth. Not just about Derek, but about how deep the rot went. When he finished, Maya sat still. The rain still tapping the glass. You're going to disappear again, aren't you? She asked. I have to. Then why tell me? Because if it comes for you next, I needed you to know how to survive it. He paused. I'm sorry, Maya. For everything. The line went dead. Maya sat in that silence for a long time. Then she stood up, walked to the kitchen, pulled out the box of letters she had locked away, and started making a list. A list of names. A list of places. A plan. Because surviving wasn't enough anymore. Now, it was time to finish what he started. They say the past never dies. It just waits. For a voice. For a witness. For someone to finally speak the truth. And sometimes, that truth doesn't set you free. Sometimes, it sets you on fire. If this story gripped you, let us know in the comments. What would you have done in Maya's shoes? Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to True Crime Vault, where the past always leaves fingerprints.